Hi, Math 8 students. This is Mrs. Hazel. I am doing a lesson for the week of April 13th. The lesson is going to have 3 examples. The first 2 examples are on the front page of the worksheet that was put on the Padlet. And the first 2 examples are graphing lines from tables. So if you haven't looked at the worksheet yet, please pause this video and go find the worksheet. Now you can either print the worksheet out if you have a printer, or you can get a piece of paper. Doesn't even have to have lines on it. Get a piece of paper like I did and write out the problems on the paper. So you have options. Okay, so we are going to start with example number 1. And in example number 1, they give you a table with ordered pairs on it. So here's your X's and here's your Y's. So you need to be able to graph those. These are actually 4 ordered pairs. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I am going to put lines on my graph, and I'm going to go up to 8 because that's my biggest number, and -8, that's my smallest number. So I need to make sure I have enough of those lines on my graph. So, and I need to make sure they're evenly spaced out since I don't have a graph grid behind me. So I'm going to do my best. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to label them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is my x-axis. And then this right here is my y-axis. So we're going to start with the x, though. Over on this side is going to be my negative numbers. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to label those, but they're going to be negative. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, and -8. Okay, so now I'm going to do the y-axis. I'm going to put a big Y there. So I need to go up to 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, 8. Just squeezed it in there. Okay, so this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then I'm going to go down below are going to be your negatives. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did a better job of getting that in. All right, so let's put it here. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, and a -8. Okay. All right, now comes, I think, the easy part. This was the hard part. Okay, so now we're going to graph these 4 points. So the first point I'm going to graph is -2, comma, +8. So -2, comma, +8. So the -2 is your x, and the 8 is your y. So you always start in the origin, and you do the x first. So we're going to go over -2, and then from there we're going to go up +8. So all the way up here. So my first point is over -2, up +8. So switch pins. I'm now doing blue. Okay, so then my next point is -1, comma, +4. So I start at the origin again, and I'm going to go over -1, up +4. And I'm going to make a beautiful dot. Okay, next one is 1, comma, -4. So I'm going to go start from the origin. I'm going to go over +1, down -4. Okay. And last but not least, I'm going to do 2, comma, -8. So from my origin, I go over +2, down -8. I just realized I don't have a straight edge. So I'm just going to do it by hand. So it should create a beautiful straight line. And then you put arrows on the end of your line. So that's how you graph those 4 points that they give you on the table. So that's example number 1. So let's try example number 2. So I actually can erase this. I miss my smart board and my big whiteboard at school. This is very humbling. Okay. I wanted to do this lesson outside, but I walked my dog this morning. It was really windy, so this would be quite comical if I did this outside. Okay, so we're going to do the blue pen. So this is example number 2. And they give you the X and Y, well, it's a table, but I call it an X and Y chart. So -5, -5, -3, -3, -3, -2, -2, and 3, and 3. Okay. So then you've got your graph. So draw my beautiful y-axis. Yes, I think it's beautiful. I know you guys think I'm silly. Okay, but that's a math teacher for you. All right, so I need to go to at least 5, so I get everything in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now it's up to you if you want to label some of the stuff, since you already labeled it for the first example, but if you like to label numbers, please do so. I will do that myself. Negatives go down here. Beautiful. Okay. All right. So now we're going to graph these 4 points. You got your X and your Y, your X, Y, X, Y, X, Y. Okay. So this should be pretty easy because it's -5, -5. All right, so you start at the origin. You're going to go over -5, down -5, and that's your first point. And then the next point is -3, -3. So you're going to go start at the origin. You're going to go -3, down -3. And then the third point is -2, -2. So you're going to go start at the origin, go -2, down -2, and then you have +3, +3. So we're going to go over to the positives. So over +3, up +3. So that one's way over here. It should create a straight line. So I'm going to connect them. And put arrows on the end. Just beautiful. I love graphs. Okay, so that is example number 2. Now on your worksheet, you have 4 problems to do that are just like this. So numbers 1 through 6. So if you want to pause this video and do those right now, you can, because I'm going to move on to the third example, which is graphing from an equation, which is on the back page. So pause. All right, I'm not pausing. I'm going to erase this. I'm trying not to make this video too long, but we'll see how far we get. I'm at 9 minutes now. Need to hurry it up a little bit. Okay. So if you guys have unpaused by now, we're going to move on, and I'm going to do example, it says number 7, so example number 7, because you guys just did 3 through 6, supposedly. Okay, so number 7, they give you an equation, and that equation is, now that I've put that fancy spray on, my markers are having a harder time. It's not dry. Okay. All right, bear with me, you guys. We're in this together. Okay, so it's going to be y equals, I've got -1/3 x minus 1. Okay, that's what they give me. All right, so then they give you a chart on to the right, and that chart is going to look like this. Hang on, bear with me. All right, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to have, oh, yeah. Okay, so it looks something like that, and then they tell you that this column is X. This column is your equation that they give you. Come on, marker, work. And then this is going to be your column for your ordered pair. So your X, comma, Y. So basically, what we're going to do is they give you X, and we're going to plug in X, and we're going to solve for Y, and then write the ordered pair down. Okay, so what do they give you for X? So they give you -3, 0, and 3, which are good X's to do because when you are dealing with a fraction, you want to pick numbers that are going to cancel out that fraction. And we know that 0 will cancel it out because it's multiplying your X. So if you plug in 0, it's going to cancel it out and give you 0. But the nice thing about -3 and +3 is if you multiply -1/3 by a positive or -3, it's going to cancel out the fraction part, and I'll show you that. Okay, so now you're going to plug in the numbers in here. So you're going to rewrite the equation. So y equals, this is going to get a little tight, 1/3 times, switching markers, -3 minus 1. Okay, so then on this side, I'm going to work it out. So I'm going to get y equals a -1/3 times a -3. I'm going to skip a step. How can we write -3 as a fraction? You'd write it as -3 over 1, right? So it'd be -3 over 1 minus 1. So when working out this multiplication part right here, these two negatives I can cancel out right away because when you multiply two negatives, they cancel out. So let's get rid of those. So I make those both positives. Now we don't have to worry about negatives anymore. That's always a good thing. Okay, so then I've got 1 times 3 and 3 times 1. You could either multiply those and get 3 over 3, or you can reduce them before you even multiply them. So let's just reduce them. So this is going to give me a 1, and this is going to give me a 1. So I'm going to end up with 1 over 1. And what does 1 over 1 break down to? It breaks down to 1. So this is going to give me y equals 1 minus 1. Okay, so 1 minus 1 gives me 0. All right, so y equals 0. So now I know what y equals. It equals 0. So I'm going to go back up to my chart, and I'm going to plug in, I'm going to rewrite -3 as my x, and then I'm going to write 0 as my y. So over here, I'm going to go -3, because the x goes in front in an ordered pair, comma, 0. And then I'm done with that. And then we're going to do the next one. So plugging in 0, well, that one's going to be easy. So you're going to go y equals 1/3 times 0 minus 1. Oh, I forgot to put it up here. So I'm going to write it up here. Times 0 minus 1. Okay. So then anything times 0 gives you 0. So 0 minus 1 is a -1. So y is going to equal a -1. So I plug it back in here, 0, comma, -1. And then last but not least, we're going to do 3. So I'm going to write that in. This blue is, there we go. Y equals -1/3 times 3 minus 1. All right, so when I write it, I'm going to go y equals a -1/3 times, and this is going to be 3 over 1 minus 1, right? Because 3 can be written as 3 over 1. So then I know my 3's can cancel out so that they're both ones. And I still have that negative because my 3 isn't negative, so it doesn't cancel out. So I still have my negative, so let's not forget about that. So I'm going to get y equals, well, this gives me 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 1 is 1. So it's 1 over 1. And 1 over 1 breaks down to 1. So this is going to be negative 1 minus 1. And so that's going to give you, now you can either put this in your calculator on your phone and go put in negative 1 minus 1, and it should give you a negative 2. Your calculator should be able to do all that for you if you plug it in right. Or you could change this minus 1 so that it's a plus negative 1. Sometimes kids like to write it that way. That way it makes it easier visually. If you see negative 1 plus a negative 1, that gives you negative 2. So then you're going to, once we get the negative 2, however you get it, we're going to plug that in for y. So my last point is 3 comma negative 2. Whew! Okay, but guess what? We're not done. We got a graph. So let me erase. Okay, I'm going to erase this part. I'm going to erase this example because you guys know what example I'm on. I'm going to try to hurry this up so I can be under, I'm at 16 minutes. Boy, I can really talk. But some of you already know that. Okay. All right, so let's graph this real quick. We have 3 points we're going to graph. These 3 points. So you're going to do your x. Well, this is my y. You're going to do your x-axis right here. That's your x. This is my y. I need to go to at least 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Remember, this side is positives. On top is positives. To the left is negatives. And the bottom is negatives. Okay, that's a 3. Here we go. First one is negative 3 comma 0. So start in the origin. You're going to go over negative 3 comma 0. Well, you don't go anywhere for y, so it stays right here at the negative 3. Come on, blue marker, work. There you go. Next one is 0 comma negative 1. So you wouldn't go over anywhere for x, you just stay there. And then you would go down negative 1 for your y. So it'd be down there. And then last one is 3 comma negative 2, which I don't know if you guys can see that. I just saw that there's like my light is, there we go. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, so you're going to go over 3, down negative 2. And when you connect them, it should create that nice straight line. You put arrows on the end, and it looks beautiful. Okay, so you guys will have 2 problems to do just like this. Hopefully you'll do it faster than me. That's number 8 and number 9. So good luck, you guys. Thanks for watching.